Hey guys, in this video, we are talking about top 10 ERP systems for service-centric industries in 2025. So let's dive right in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP, CRM, and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with technology, strategy, system selection, as well as change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be top 10 ERP systems for service-centric industries in 2025. Before we look at the list, let's look at how we define service-centric industries. And in general, we segment this into two different dimensions. Number one is product-centric. Number two is service-centric. And the reason why we do that is because service-centric companies or the industries have very unique needs compared to your product-centric industries. For the most part, for the service-centric industries, the ERP capabilities that these companies are going to require would be slightly ad hoc in nature. So that dictates their need to be slightly more customizable ERP systems. And 90% of the systems that target these industries are going to have very customizable model in general. A lot of the service-centric companies as well as the industries, they don't necessarily use as consolidated model from the operations perspective the way your product companies are going to use. In a lot of these industries, you are going to find that ERP is used only for the financial consolidation, financial ledger, just because their processes are so unique that they cannot fit into the traditional supply chain MRP and the inventory consolidation model. That's why these industries are especially trickier in general from the ERP perspective. And that's why you are going to find a lot of different ERP systems targeted for very specific micro industries in this particular market space. The way their procurements its structure is very different as well. These companies are very heavy on the indirect procurement as opposed to direct procurement, and the way their processes are is very different. The way their scheduling as well as the correlation with their HR and ACM processes, that's also very different in general. So we are going to touch on all of these layers as we discuss each of the systems where these capabilities differ for some of these systems. And again, the larger systems are going to have business processes as well as data model for both product centric as well as service centric. So that's why it could be confusing sometimes. But if you are looking for service centric industries, unless you have slightly more diversified business model, then you would require much stronger service centric capabilities. So the criteria that we have used to compile this list is number one, product share, acquisition strategy focused on the service-centric industries, and then product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, technology strategy, as well as investors. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Workday or Certinia. And Workday and or Certinia, they have a tie, and these two are two completely different systems coming from two different vendors. So Workday traditionally was known as more of the ACM system, but now they have developed indirect procurement capabilities. They have a little bit of PSE capabilities. They have finance, and then they also have the FP&A, CPM capabilities. And these are going to be the capabilities that most of these service companies are going to require. That's why Workday is far more capable in the service-centric spaces than in the product-centric spaces. And some people might argue that Workday is not necessarily an ERP, but Workday has capabilities for ERP-like capabilities for service-centric industries. It might not be an ERP for the product-centric industries. Now, Sardinia is a different story. They are part of the Salesforce ecosystem, and they are probably one of the largest targeting service-centric industries in the Salesforce ecosystem. In general, 90% of the customers that Salesforce has, they are in the service space. So for the most part, they target industries such as banks, insurance, financials, healthcare, and then obviously the consulting and professional services. And these are going to be major verticals for Salesforce. And these are also going to be service-centric industries where Certinia is going to be a good fit. Certinia was always known for their PSA capabilities, the professional services automation, and the way professional services automation works, the way the transactions are going to be structured in the consulting space, the way their milestones are structured, the way their resources are scheduled is very different. And that's why they have a unique name, PSA. Not many systems on this list would support PSA capabilities. They might have project manufacturing, they might have project management capabilities, but PSA is a very unique capability. Generally, most of the service-centric systems would have PSA capabilities inbuilt as part of their model, and Certinia is definitely one of them. Workday has PSA capabilities as well. That's why these systems are positioned for service-centric industries. The other strength that you have for both of these of the indirect procurement, Workday is probably going to have far deeper capabilities for indirect procurement than Certinia, at least today. And then they both are very well proven among the service-centric businesses. So those are some of the pluses for these two systems. And some of the limitations, these systems will not be as diverse. For example, let's say if you are trying to accommodate many different business models, either you are part of the holding company or private equity, or your business is just very complex where you have several service-centric industries as well as the product-centric industries as well as part of your model, then these systems would not be as diverse. And then these systems would not also have as deep last mile capabilities. And for these smaller companies, they are probably not going to be the right fit. They might not even sell to smaller companies because for the most part, Workday is very enterprise centric system. Certinia also has very large logos. They might not be as present in the enterprise space, but they definitely have very large logos, for Salesforce. So that's number 10. Now, number 9 on our list is Sage Intacct. And Sage Intacct, for the most part, 90% of their logos would probably be in the service-centric space. They were very intentional, deliberate about targeting those service-centric verticals. They have very last mile capabilities, whether you look at some of the reports, compliance, accounting procedures, as well as the KPI, the dashboard. They have these additions built for many different service-centric industries. You are looking at a very tailored version for SaaS companies or not-for-profit companies. They have a little bit of construction flavor, real estate, and these are all very service-centric industries as well as companies where Sage Intacct shines. For the most part, Sage Intacct does not have as deep operational capabilities. They rely on add-ons as well as integrations to supply those capabilities. For the most part, Sage Intacct is a very accounting-centric system, but just like your Workday or Certinia, Sage Intacct is a great fit for service-centric organizations because for the most part, these companies look for financial ledger. They don't necessarily look for as consolidated processes as you are going to find in the product-centric industries. So some of the strengths of Sage Intacct is the service-centric last mile reports, the dashboard, and as well as some of the capabilities will be there with Sage Intacct. Sage Intacct is also localized and globalized. in over 120 countries. They have the taxation accounting supported of those 120 countries. For the most part, Sage Intacct is not necessarily enterprise grade system. The kind of financial layers it is going to have, they are going to be limited. But if you are an SMB looking for slightly more global system, then Sage Intacct could be a great fit for you. Then some of the Salesforce HR and marketplace integrations for the service-centric industries, you are going to find them. If you are in the product-centric industries, you might struggle to find those add-ons as well as marketplace options with Sage Intacct. But again, since this is targeted for the service-centric industries, that's why they have these integrations as well as vendors playing in their ecosystem. Limitations may require a best of breed CRM. So in general, your expectation would be that if you're buying an ERP, then you would want a CRM as well. But again, because of the nature of this industry where you don't necessarily have the operational processes hosted as part of ERP, that's why these systems do not necessarily include the CRM processes as part of their model. So again, you would require a CRM. Most of these companies are going to use best of breed CRM, for example, Salesforce, and Sage Intacct does have very tight integration with Salesforce. Will require consulting expertise compared to these smaller systems, even though the system is leaner overall from the operational depth perspective. It's broader from the accounting processes perspective, so you would still require consulting help. And it's not a complete ERP for service-centric industries. It might be okay, but may not be best for every single industry out there. So that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is Unit 4. And Unit 4 would fall under that prescriptive category, and they are going to have all of those processes, including your indirect procurement, FP&A. So traditionally, Unit 4 had these processes pre-integrated as part of the system, but now Workday is sort of catching up with them. They have very similar capabilities. The real difference between Workday and Unit 4 would be that Unit 4 is probably going to be slightly legacy technology. Some people might argue that now Workday is, as legacy, but again, Workday is a very enterprise system. That's why some people feel that, it's very complex, it's over bloated, but you might get the same feeling even with Unit 4 as well. Unit 4 does have 2 different products, one for mid-market and for enterprise. The mid-market one is going to be slightly leaner. The enterprise is going to be bloated for the most part. Just because those enterprise companies would require those features, they might not be as relevant for the mid-market customers. The strengths that you have with Unit 4, number 1, very strong HCM as well as indirect procurement capabilities. It has been proven with very large logos among public sector companies as well as not-for-profit. So that's a huge plus for Unit 4. The not-for-profit accounting as well as PSA capabilities, even though some of these systems on this list might claim that they target not-for-profit, but they might rely on add-on for their not-for-profit capability, and that's a huge risk for company. So for the most part, if you are looking in the not-for-profit space, you want to make sure that at least the accounting package is provided out of the box. And there are very few systems on this list that can support this. Number 1 is Workday does have not-for-profit package. Sage Intacct is very strong in not-for-profit. Unit 4 is also going to be strong with the not-for-profit accounting as well as PSA capabilities. And Unit 4 was very global in its footprint. So you are going to find all of those global capabilities as part of the model as well. Some of the limitations to keep in mind: it's a legacy solution. It's not as innovated. They have not spent in their R&D as fast as other vendors. Now, some of those capabilities might be at par, but still it's a legacy solution. And then they also have very limited consulting base. So that is the case with the majority of the prescriptive system. And it's going to be fit for very limited number of service-centric companies. Among service-centric companies, the prescriptive model is going to fit only for certain industries. So it's very limited. It's not as diverse overall from the business model representation perspective. So that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is Deltek, and Deltek is a very unique system as well. For the most part, they target the government contractor, architecture, construction companies, as well as consulting companies. Some strengths to keep in mind: they are going to have very deep last mile capabilities for the government contractors as well as construction centric verticals. They also have very unique databases and data that they own, especially in the government contracting space. So if you care for that data, you might get that only from Deltek because they own it and they might not provide or offer it to the other companies. So again, analyze your industry, which industry you are part of, and if those data sets are going to be critical, and some of this data they have collected over the period of time. They could be survey or industry benchmarks. But if other companies cannot provide similar data, then you are going to be limited in exploring only Deltek for those industries. So do your research before you commit to any ERP vendor. And then they are also very global in the way their model is structured, even though it's going to be very lean overall in terms of their operational footprint. That is going to be accommodated as part of the system, but they do have the global multi-entity capabilities, and that is very common in service-centric industries. They require that. Some limitations to keep in mind is limited focus, meaning it's not going to be as diverse. So if your business model is very complex, or if you are part of any sort of holding company portfolio or private equity, then you might run into challenges with this. The ecosystem consulting base is limited, just like any other prescriptive systems, and the best of breed capabilities that you might find with the larger vendors, they might not be as prevalent with Deltek. So that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is IFS. And IFS is also a very uniquely structured the way they package their offering. For the most part, it is very well proven in the asset and field service centric industries. And there is a segmentation between field service and the other services. For example, professional services could be one category. So there is a clear segmentation in terms of what field service companies are going to require versus other service companies would require. So IFS would be a better fit for field service companies. Now, field service companies generally have overlap with both your product-centric companies as well as service-centric companies. So that's why it gets really tricky overall in terms of which ERP is going to be right fit for your company. But if you're really deep into your field services processes, you have asset-centric processes, then IFS could be a great fit. Some strengths to keep in mind is they have enterprise grade capabilities from the field service asset management perspective. They might not be as deep with the other ERP layers that are going to be common with the systems on this list. The data model that they have is aligned with very large programs, and you are looking at these aerospace and defense kind of programs, which are going to have very different hierarchies in their data model. That is generally not relevant for the companies that might be producing, let's say, commoditized products. And even in the service industries, depending upon how long-standing your project is, how long-standing your offering is, this particular ERP system, IFS, would be more relevant for projects that are extremely complex, long-standing, regulated. That's where IFS is probably going to be a great fit, not necessarily a good fit for very small projects. In technology, they've invested a lot. They were legacy, but then they were probably one of the first ERP vendors that invested in their cloud native offering. So they have a little technology advantage there. But now in 2025, they have not announced as much overall from the AI roadmap perspective, especially when you talk about the agentic capabilities that is going to change the whole UI experience. So now the cloud native experience is not going to be as relevant. But so far, they are really ahead in terms of their technology. They have very limited focus, limited ecosystem, and not a right fit as the corporate financial ledger. If you're looking for operational capabilities in the asset-centric, field service-centric spaces, then IFS would be a great fit, and that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is SAP S/4HANA. SAP S/4HANA is a great fit for companies, the service companies consolidating their corporate financial processes. It does have the PSA capabilities, the not-for-profit capabilities, so that's a huge plus. Overall, from SAP S/4HANA perspective, you don't have to rely on third-party vendors providing these capabilities. And then they have the indirect as well as direct procurement as well. And if you're going to be the combination of service plus product, SAP S/4HANA is probably going to be a great fit there as well, just because they can accommodate both of these industries as part of their model. Then they also have very good best of breed systems that augment their SAP S/4HANA core. That's a huge plus as well overall from the SAP perspective. So those are some of these strengths. Limitations to keep in mind is when you look at the nuances of some of the industries. For example, if you look at not-for-profit, public sector, in these industries, the way CRM processes or the membership processes are structured, they are generally very complex. And SAP, the way their data model is designed, it's very rigid. So sometimes there could be challenges in accommodating those processes inside SAP S/4HANA. That's why companies in the services industries would rather go for something like Oracle or Microsoft. They are not as rigid with their model. The rigid model is probably going to be more relevant with the product-centric industries, especially in the regulated spaces. So SAP S/4HANA does really well there. So if you're looking for slightly more fluid, customizable model, then Oracle or Microsoft, that's going to be a better choice. But if you're looking for very, very, very tight control from the finance perspective, then SAP S/4HANA is probably a better fit. So that's why we see some adoption issues with SAP S/4HANA in the service-centric verticals as well. And it's probably going to be overwhelming for smaller organizations, even though they have a leaner, truncated version for the mid-market as well. But for the most part, the product does really well in the large enterprise-centric companies. And obviously, the price tag is going to be there with that as well. So that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. Oracle Cloud ERP is a very comparable system as your SAP S/4HANA. For the most part, it will be used by companies when they are trying to consolidate all of these global workloads, global business models as part of one system, where the financial consolidation is a priority compared to the, for example, site level or the plant level capabilities that you are going to require. With not-for-profit, you are probably going to have the branch level capabilities. They are probably not the priority for these companies. So if you're looking for that global consolidation, then your Oracle Cloud ERP is probably going to be a better fit, just like your SAP. Some strengths to keep in mind is designed for large service-centric organizations, native capabilities for grant and fund accounting, and that's going to be your not-for-profit package, as well as the embedded ACM as well as PSA processes. It's very well proven among consulting-centric companies, media-centric companies. Oracle does really well with the financial, banking, insurance, all of these companies as well. Some limitations to keep in mind is the custom CRM workflows. So again, even though Oracle is more fluid than SAP, but it might not be as fluid as Microsoft. So that's where you might run into some challenges with custom CRM workflows, as well as best of breed pre-built integrated options may be limited, and it might be overwhelming for smaller organizations, just like any other enterprise systems. So that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central would also be relevant for companies, especially the SMB ones that are consolidating their global financial ledger. Most likely the operational capabilities are going to be limited, and you might need to acquire those from third-party add-ons. And sometimes there is a risk because of these add-ons, depending upon how proven they are, how well they are written, who has written them, and what is the contractual model between the core ERP as well as the add-ons, and how well the add-ons are going to play together, and how well they work together. So these are going to be the questions that you need to ask before you go for something like Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Overall, the strengths, it is really designed for global companies. In some of these locations, you might not even have a lot of systems that we have discussed as part of this list. So the only choice could be Microsoft or SAP or Oracle. Depending upon your geography, where you are, which systems are popular there, you need to pay attention to that. And then not-for-profit accounting and PSA capabilities are not provided out of the box. So you are probably going to require an add-on for that. So that's going to be a little negative for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. But then you have marketplace and ecosystem, which is a huge plus. You can find add-ons and bolt-ons for the majority of the industries as well as business model. It's just that the implementation is going to be trickier. The integration is probably going to be trickier as well. There's so many different contracts, vendors, support models, and how they play together. So you need to do that research. The limitations is financial traceability and SOX compliance might not be as built. So if you're a publicly traded company, then you might need to go for slightly bigger solutions. And then technical focus and limited business consulting expertise in the Microsoft ecosystem, even though you have a lot of players that are consulting in the Microsoft space that are really large companies, but you don't have as much business expertise. And again, the not-for-profit accounting requires add-ons, so that's a huge negative, especially if you're going to be in not-for-profit public sector spaces. So that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. And this is a very comparable system to your Oracle as well as SAP S/4HANA. It does really well. It's very well adopted. It's promoted by very large consulting firms. So that's why they have very large ecosystem in general, the kind of consultants that are operating in their ecosystem. Their ecosystem is also globally present. So that's why the system is very popular. In general, that's why you're going to find a lot more add-ons that you might not be able to find with the other ERP systems on this list. So the strengths to keep in mind is designed for larger organizations, and it's highly customizable. That's probably one of the biggest benefit of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, and that's why a lot of service companies go for this, because their processes will be very ad hoc and they require something that is going to be highly customizable. Limitations might not be the best fit for publicly traded companies, especially if you require the auditability of the financial workflows. It is not the best for those workflows the way it is designed. It does not come across as the financial friendly model. It comes across as more of the technical model. And again, depending upon what your background is, if you have used a lot of Microsoft-centric ERP systems in the past, you might be okay. But if you are coming from a very financial savvy ERP systems, for example, SAP or Sage, then you might not appreciate the way their model is structured. The last mile capabilities are going to be limited, but you have the add-ons as well as navigating marketplace would require expertise, because there are a lot of vendors that might not be as proven, as vetted the way Microsoft likes to promote their products. They don't necessarily have as regulated marketplace, and that's why there are some generally companies struggle because of that, just because they don't know how to navigate Microsoft ecosystem. So that's number 2. Number 1 on our list is NetSuite. And NetSuite is ideal for global SMBs. And again, this is very comparable system as your Sage Intacct. NetSuite also does not have as much operational capabilities, even though their operational capabilities are going to be more than what Sage Intacct is going to offer. NetSuite can also accommodate a lot of different product-centric workflows as well as service-centric workflows. So it is probably going to be a better fit for slightly complex business models, but they might not have as deep service-centric capabilities. So depending upon what your priority is, whether you care for deeper service-centric capabilities, or do you require a slightly more diverse model from the process as well as from data perspective. Now, the strengths to keep in mind is the not-for-profit package is provided out of the box, just like your Sage Intacct. That's not the case with Microsoft or Acumatica, which are also going to be very comparable products, but then you would require a third-party add-on. The marketplace and ecosystem, and ideal for global companies growing through M&A. It is very well favored and liked by these companies because it can accommodate many business models. And then their marketplace is also going to be one of the most prevalent. That's why it is very well liked by private equity as well as holding companies. The limitations that you're looking at, the operational depth is going to be limited. The other limitation that you need to keep in mind is NetSuite is probably one of the most expensive product in general, the way their pricing is. And sometimes when you look at their pricing, it might be lower. But once you implement, once the consumption-based pricing kicks in, then you would know how expensive this could get. So comparable products might not be as expensive. So that is also another factor that you need to keep in mind. And the way their the financial structure is, it might not be the best fit for larger service-centric organizations. So that's number one. And that's it for the list as well. If you enjoyed this video, we are going to publish this in the audio form over our podcast channels. And you can find them on major podcasting platforms. So head over there and subscribe if you like. We also include these insights as part of a dedicated report, and you are going to find the link of that report below as well as on the blog. So you might want to check that if you're looking for further insights on this list. Some insights might be available as part of our digital transformation report. If you have not downloaded that, we encourage you to check that out. As well as we publish these videos on a weekly basis. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might want to do that if you don't want to miss these videos. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.